the Finance Committee of the Lancaster City Council to order at 6 p.m. First item on our agenda is Resolution 4623, a resolution to appropriate from the unencumbered balance in the cemetery fund and to amend the certificate of appropriations with the Fairfield County Auditor for the purchase of mowing and trimming equipment coming out of Public Works. Mr. Schoonover.
Mr. Dietz is here. I talked to him earlier. He's going to come up and chat about our need for mowing equipment this year.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. As the legislation does state, for the first time since 2006, when we started to go out to bid for mowing contracts, we only had one contractor bid this year. And out of the 4 contracts we offer, he only bid on 3 of them. So that leaves us to try to cover Maple Grove Cemetery in-house this year. So talking to my team, we feel we can, with the 3 gentlemen we have working for the cemetery, between funerals and foundation digging and tree cleanup, we can do this in-house this year. And in order to do so this year, we're looking to buy an additional zero-turn mower, which will help speed things up for them, and a few extra string trimmers for the trimming around the headstones. So, hopefully this isn't a trend that continues where we keep losing people willing to bid, but this year we're kind of up against a wall, especially with the early spring that seems to be coming. I know the grass is growing in my house, and hopefully the snow we had over the weekend will slow things down a little bit, but that's kind of where we are.
Any questions for Mr. Dietz? Jack.
So you're not hiring new personnel, the people you have working for you are gonna do this extra
We've got
work?
three union employees out there. We got an operator and 2 laborers, and talking with Sean, my operations manager, who used to mow the cemeteries back in the day. When I say back in the day, I mean prior to 2005. He said he thinks we can get her done and probably do a little better job than the contractor's been doing. So we're going to do it with in-house personnel.
Mr. James.
You're probably gonna save money doing this, aren't you?
We're hoping to. Basically, the contract for Maple Grove has been averaging about $18,000, a little over $18,000 a year when we do bid it out. Obviously, purchasing a piece of equipment is going to eat into that a little bit, but without going out and hiring extra personnel, I think we can save a little bit of money.
You'll pay for it all in the first year, it sounds like.
Hopefully. Like I said, though, hopefully we don't have to maintain any other cemeteries going down the line. So we'll see how it goes this year, and we'll start there and move on.
Any other questions?
I have some real quick. Will this be absorbed in their normal working hours? No
Yes.
overtime? Okay.
Yes, it'll be during a normal 8-hour day.
Okay. Thank you.
Anyone else? All right, thank you. Mr. Schoonover, what's your pleasure?
We're going to ask for 2 readings, Mr. James, which will be my second. And I just wanted to add, so not a long-term solution going back the other direction, but I think, even over the last couple of years, we've done a lot in Public Works with trying to entice more contractors to bid, and it's just not working out that way. And I think, was it last year or the year before, we had a contractor that either quit or was terminated in the middle of the season. So I think even to have the equipment for backup purposes is definitely necessary.
Since 2018, we've had 3 contractors in Forest Row Cemetery that have had issues maintaining it, keeping up with the schedule. And in 2021, the one contractor quit mid-season. We had 2 contractors at that time, and one was doing Elmwood Cemetery and infirmary up there behind the old county home, and he picked up the slack. He did so only because we did the trimming and some spraying in-house for him. Then last year, he took that contract over, but we continued to do spraying and trimming for him. And this year, he's going to try to maintain all 4 shows himself, which I believe is why he did not bid on Maple Grove this year. it's the trimming that gets to everybody, because when you figure we've got upwards of 39,000 tombstones between 3 cemeteries, if we contract out, we have a total of 6, 3 are inactive and 3 are active, so it's a lot of manpower.
That's all I got.
All right, we'll have 2 readings on 4623, and Mr. James, you'll be the second.
That's correct.
The next item on our agenda is Resolution 4723, a resolution authorizing the issuance of then and now certificate for payment to Community Core Solutions for annual support and licensing fees for permitting program for the 2023 for the Certified Building Department. Mr. Davis?
Ladies and gentlemen, we just made a mistake. We did not have an open PO when we had an invoice for our annual contract services for our software. It's already in the budget.
So this was, I see the dates there. It came in, and I'm assuming you thought there was a PO in place, and,
Yes, sir.
okay.
We got the bill, as you can see, in February, so we should have already had a PO ready, and we did not.
All right, so you're requesting a PO for $7,800 to pay for the software you use to run the department?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Anyone have any questions for Mr. Davis? So this is something required to do the job of this particular department. I will be asking for suspension. Mrs. Kreitz, would you be the second on that?
Yes, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Davis.
Okay, thank you.
And Mr. Davis, we can handle this at regular council. You won't.
Okay,
You want me
okay,
to
I can
stay?
leave that. Thank you.
All right. Thank you.
I don't-
All right, are there any departmental updates? Going once? Seeing none? Mr. President, you have anything for tonight's meeting prep?
I do not have anything for tonight's meeting prep, but would request that finance go into executive session here in just a second when we get to the end.
Okay.
So we have some time now rather than waiting for city council to do it.
Certainly. Are there any other items for finance before we entertain the executive session? Any other items for finance? All right.
Mr. Chairman, I would like to make a motion that the Finance Committee convene into executive session to consider the purchase of property for public purposes, as premature disclosure of such information would give an unfair competitive or bargaining advantage to the seller whose personal private interest is adverse to the general public interest pursuant to Ohio Revised Code, Section 121.22G2. The executive session should include the following individuals: Lancaster City Council President and members, Mayor, Treasurer, Auditor, Law Director, Fire Chief, City Engineer, and Service Safety Director.
Second.
We have a motion and a second.
Hold on, yeah, one of you, or you're on finance, aren't you? Sorry.
Yeah.
I had him lined up for the second initially and forgot you. You got it, brother.
All right, so we have a motion and a second. Voice vote,
Roll call.
roll call. Mrs. Kreitz?
Yes.
Yes.
I'm a yes. We are in executive session.
I don't see the fire chief.
We told the fire chief and the safety committee he didn't need to come.
Okay. I told you we should have done it from the beginning.
Fickle.
We had a cat that would follow and try to get a ball.
Yep, sorry. Mr. Chairman, I make a motion that we leave executive session and resume the regularly scheduled Finance Committee meeting at this.
Have a motion and second, return to the Finance Committee, regular Finance Committee meeting. Mrs. Kreitz?
Yes.
Mr.
Yes.
Ailes? I'm in favor. We have returned to the regular meeting, and I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
Mr. Chairman, I would like to make that motion.
Second.
Motion and second to adjourn. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
We are adjourned.
It's 6:15, the regular meeting of Lancaster City Council will begin at 6:30.
The Frankie Smith Funeral Home and Crematory in Lancaster and the Johnson Smith Funeral Home in Baltimore have a long and wonderful history of serving our community. Feel free to give us a call at 740-653-0652. Stop in and see us at either of our two locations, 405 North Columbus Street in Lancaster and 207 South Main Street in Baltimore. Respect for tradition, regard for change.
Did you know that 1 in 3 families struggle to buy diapers? And diapers can cost between $70 and $80 a month. Hi, this is Joe Welsh from Bottoms Up. Bottoms Up is here to provide diapers for single mothers in need. This month, we are once again honored to be chosen by the Buckeye Automotive Family's Buckeye Cares program. Buckeye Cares will make a generous donation with every car they sell. Thank you, Buckeye, for helping our precious children in need.
Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Please call the roll.
Mr. Ayers.
Here.
Mr. Ailes.
Here.
Mrs. Kreitz.
Here.
Mr. James.
Here.
Mr. Matlin.
Here.
Mr. McDaniel.
Here.
Mr. Porter.
Here.
Mr. Schoonover.
Here.
And Mrs. Teener.
Here.
Let the record reflect that all 9 members of Lancaster City Council are in attendance this evening. Reading and disposing of the journal.
I'd like to present the regular meeting minutes dated February 27th, 2023.
Mr. President, I would like to make a motion to receive and file the journal.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to receive and file the journal. Any discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Reports of city officials.
There are 3. Email dated March 2nd, 2023 regarding the Upper Hocking Water Pollution Control Facility, updated pictures submitted by Superintendent Mike Nixon. Email dated March 2nd, 2023 regarding the Lawrence Street Water Pollution Control Facility, updated pictures submitted by Superintendent Mike Nixon. And finally, an email dated March 8th, 2023 regarding Law Committee meeting agenda submitted by Law Director Stephanie Hall.
Mr. President, I'd like to make a motion to receive and file the reports of city officials.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to receive and file reports of city officials. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Are there any communications?
There are none to be presented.
We have no special presentations or awards. Are there any petitions or memorials?
There are none to be presented.
During this time, we set time aside to allow the voters and taxpayers of the city to address us on any item or issue they would like. Is there anyone who would like to address Lancaster City Council this evening? No takers at all out there? All right. Well, thank you for joining us tonight. Reports of standing committees.
There are 3. Water Pollution Control Meeting Minutes dated March 8th, 2023, submitted by Mr. James. Finance Committee Meeting Minutes dated March 13th, 2023, submitted by Mr. McDaniel. And Safety Committee Meeting Minutes dated March 13th, 2023, submitted by Mr. Matlin.
Mr. President, I'd like to make a motion to receive and file the reports of standing committees.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to receive and file reports of standing committees. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Are there reports of special committees?
There are none to be presented.
We have no public hearings this evening, so we'll move to the reading of resolutions, beginning with the third reading of temporary resolution 2923.
A resolution to appropriate from the unencumbered balance and amend the certificate of appropriations with the county auditor and the general fund 1001, and to authorize the issuance of a then and now certificate to pay Crossroads Community Planning LLC for technical assistance and for revisions to the new zoning code, offered by Mr. McDaniel and seconded by Mrs. Kreitz.
Mr. McDaniel.
Yes, Mr. President, I'd like to make a motion that council pass, engross, and enter upon the written record resolution temporarily numbered 2923.
Second?
We have a motion and a second to pass and gross and enter upon the written record temporary resolution 2923. Discussion, Mr. McDaniel?
Yes, this is the contract for the zoning code revisions that we've been working on and technical assistance that was provided and continues to be provided to the city planner.
Thank you very much. Further discussion? Please call the roll.
Mr. Ayers?
Yes.
Mr. Ailes?
Yes.
Mrs. Kreitz?
Yes.
Mr. James?
Yes.
Mr. Matlin?
Yes.
Mr. McDaniel?
Yes.
Mr. Porter?
Yes.
Mr. Schoonover?
Yes.
And Mrs. Teener.
Yes.
Temporary resolution 2923 passes 9-0. Temporary resolution 30-23. There's on that one.
A resolution authorizing the Service Safety Director to advertise for bids and enter into a contract for the construction of pickleball courts at Olivedale Park for the Lancaster Parks and Recreation Department, offered by Mr. Porter and seconded by Mr. Matlin.
Mr. Porter.
I'd move to pass, engross, and enter into the written record temporary resolution 3023.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to pass, engross, and enter upon the written record temporary resolution 30-23. Discussion, Mr. Porter?
No.
Discussion on the motion pass. Please call the roll.
Mr. Ayers?
Yes.
Mr. Ailes?
Yes.
Mrs. Kreitz?
Yes.
Mr. James?
Yes.
Mr. Matlin?
Yes.
Mr. McDaniel?
Yes.
Mr. Porter?
Yes.
Mr. Schoonover?
Yes.
And Mrs. Teener.
No.
Temporary resolution 30-23 passes 8-1. Temporary resolution 34-23.
A resolution accepting the petitions, articles, and incorporation and bylaws of the City of Lancaster Downtown Special Improvement District, SID, and declaring a necessity for improvement to Main Street, Columbus Street, and Broad Street between certain termini. Offered by Mr. McDaniel and seconded by Mr. Ailes.
Mr. McDaniel.
Yes, Mr. President, I'd like to make a motion that council pass, engross, and enter upon the written record resolution temporarily numbered 3423.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to pass, engross, and enter upon the written record temporary resolution 34-23. Discussion, Mr. McDaniel.
Yes, Mr. President, this will accept the petitions and articles for the SID, and it will carry through 2028.
Thank you very much. Further discussion? Please call the roll.
Mr. Ayers?
Yes.
Mr. Ailes?
Yes.
Mrs. Kreitz?
Yes.
Mr. James?
Yes.
Mr. Matlin?
Yes.
Mr. McDaniel?
Yes.
Mr. Porter?
Yes.
Mr. Schoonover?
Yes.
And Mrs. Teener?
Yes.
Temporary resolution 34-23 passes 9-0. Temporary resolution 35-23.
A resolution authorizing the Service Safety Director to advertise for bids for the Lateral D Phase 2 Trunk Sewer Campground Road Pump Station Project, offered by Mr. James and seconded by Mr. Matlin.
Mr. James.
Thank you, President. At this time, I'd like to make a motion that council pass, engross, and enter upon a written record temporary resolution numbered 35-23.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to pass, engross, and enter upon the written record temporary resolution 35-23. Discussion, Mr. James.
Just briefly, this gives the City Service Director the opportunity to go out for bid for approximately 5,000 feet of 30-inch diameter line that will be out near the campground area. Badly needed, and it's time for us to tear into it.
Thank you very much. Further discussion? Please call the roll.
Mr. Ayers?
Yes.
Mr. Ailes?
Yes.
Mrs. Kreitz?
Yes.
Mr. James?
Yes.
Mr. Matlin?
Yes.
Mr. McDaniel?
Yes.
Mr. Porter?
Yes.
Mr. Schoonover?
Yes.
And Mrs. Teener?
Yes.
Temporary resolution 35-23 passes 9-0. We're gonna have second reading on temporary resolution 42-23.
A resolution to appropriate from the unencumbered balance in the Fire Impact District 1 Fund 3022 and to amend the certificate of appropriations with the Fairfield County Auditor and authorize the issuance of a then and now certificate, offered by Mr. Matlin and seconded by Mr. James.
Mr. Matlin.
Second of three.
Second to three readings then on temporary resolution 42-23. Temporary resolution 44-23.
A resolution authorizing the Service Safety Director to advertise for bids for the 2023 sewer rehabilitation project, offered by Mr. James and seconded by Mrs. Teener.
Mr. James.
This is the second of 3 readings.
Second to three readings on temporary resolution 44-23. We now have first reading on temporary resolution 46-23.
A resolution to appropriate from the unencumbered balance in the Cemetery Fund 2007 and to amend the certificate of appropriations with the Fairfield County Auditor for the purchase of mowing and trimming equipment, offered by Mr. Schoonover and seconded by Mr. James.
Mr. Schoonover.
First to two readings, please.
First to two readings on temporary resolution 46-23. Temporary resolution 47-23.
A resolution authorizing the issuance of a then and now certificate for payment to Community Core Solutions for annual support and licensing fee for permitting program for 2023 for the Certified Building Department, offered by Mr. McDaniel and seconded by Mrs. Kreitz.
Mr. McDaniel.
Yes, Mr. President, I'd like to make a motion that council suspend its rules and waive the second and third reading of resolution temporarily numbered 4723.
Second?
We have a motion and a second to suspend the rules and waive the second and third reading of temporary resolution 47-23. Discussion, Mr. McDaniel.
Yes, the suspension is requested as the bill was received in January, and payment was requested in early February for the amount of $7,800. And the building department supervisor explained that was an error on his part, and he's requesting suspension to pay the bill.
Thank you very much. Further discussion on the motion? Please call the roll.
Mr. Ayers?
Yes.
Mr. Ailes?
Yes.
Mrs. Kreitz?
Yes.
Mr. James?
Yes.
Mr. Matlin?
Yes.
Mr. McDaniel?
Yes.
Mr. Porter?
Yes.
Mr. Schoonover?
Yes.
And Mrs. Teener.
Yes.
Motion to suspend carries 9-0. Mr. McDaniel.
Yes, Mr. President, I'd like to make a motion that council pass, engross, and enter upon the written record resolution temporarily numbered 4723.
Second?
We have a motion and a second to pass, engross, and enter upon the written record temporary resolution 47-23. Discussion, Mr. McDaniel.
Nothing further.
Discussion on the motion to pass. Please call the roll.
Mr. Ayers?
Yes.
Mr. Ailes?
Yes.
Mrs. Kreitz?
Yes.
Mr. James?
Yes.
Mr. Matlin?
Yes.
Mr. McDaniel?
Yes.
Mr. Porter?
Yes.
Mr. Schoonover?
Yes.
And Mrs. Teener.
Yes.
Temporary resolution 47-23 passes 9-0. Are there any further resolutions to come before Lancaster City Council? If not, we have no ordinances this evening. We have no tabled legislation this evening. Is there any unfinished business that anyone would like to discuss? Is there any new business that anyone would like to discuss? That's great.
I just wanted to, we have a law committee meeting at 11:30 on Wednesday this week. And the administration has asked us to look at some tobacco, flavored tobacco. And we're having a presentation on that. So I just wanted to invite everyone to that if it fits your schedule, or to send an email, or if anyone in the public wants to send an email to their council members regarding it.
So at this meeting, you'll be sampling the flavored tobacco?
We are not.
Oh,
We will
okay.
have a presentation on potential banning.
That's out in the
There it
parking
is.
lot after.
Yeah, out in the parking lot after. Okay, thank you.
Sorry, that was
That's it.
very poorly worded.
Worded. All right, so that is this Wednesday then. Is there other new business this evening? If not, we'll ask that the clerk read our announcement of scheduled meetings.
Next regular meeting of council is March 27th at 6:30 PM. The following meeting is April 10th at 6:30 PM, both here in council chambers. Upcoming committee meetings for the next 30 days. Law Committee, March 15th at 11:30 a.m. at the 1897 Conference Room. IT Telecom, March 17th at 8 a.m. at the 1897 Conference Room. Finance, March 27th at 6 p.m. here in council chambers. Code Enforcement, April 10th at 7:30 a.m. at the 1897 Conference Room. Finance, April 10th at 6 p.m. here in council chambers. And finally, Water Pollution, April 12th at 8:30 a.m. at the 1897 Conference Room.
Thank you very much. Are there any bills?
For once, no, there are not. Or there isn't any.
Okay. Is there any need for an executive session? Knowing of none, a motion to adjourn is in order.
I was trying to figure out how to drag it out longer because you didn't want to be here with us.
Well,
So-
you.
Just me?
I always like to spend time with you.
Oh, okay.
No, I want to spend time with you.
Yeah, thank you.
You're welcome.
I'd like to make that motion. We adjourn.
Second.
Motion is second to adjourn the meeting. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Thank you all very much. Please remember to sign your legislation. Have a great week.